what's up, y'all? Welcome to the Relationship Cheat Code, where we give you the game, helping you to stress less and experience your absolute best in your relationship. This right here is my beautiful wife, Iana.
And this right here is my amazing husband, Aize.
How you doing, bro?
I'm all right.
You all right?
I'm pushing through in this partnership called marriage.
Yes.
Where you work together, and we have to work with people who are rigid.
Here we go.
You know,
here we go, y'all.
Who don't have a lot of flexibility.
Who might that person be that you had to work with? This guy
I don't want to name any names.
Any flexibility.
I don't want to name any names. I'm just trying to push through so I can get to the more important things for today.
More important things.
Yes.
Okay. Sitting next to me is not important.
The more important things today are getting with my daughters who are getting ready to go back to college. Yeah. And making sure I support my son in a way that I told him that I would. Okay. Those are more important today at this moment in time.
What about you supporting me?
Through. But supporting you with what, babe?
With doing this.
Doing what? This is not your podcast.
It's
I'm
our
not supporting
podcast.
You. It's ours.
I know, but I want you to be next to me.
You always do, and you need to work on that. And I love it.
This is going to be good, y'all.
Until I don't.
This is going to be good because what we're going to talk about today is why men have a hard time with vulnerability.
That's why you wanted me to be in this podcast. He could have did this by himself.
I'm just saying, y'all. I'm just saying.
Because you didn't want to be vulnerable by yourself.
No, I'm saying I open up and I express that I want you to sit next to me and I'm being vulnerable in my request. But sometimes, let's just get right into it. Sometimes the reasons why men are not vulnerable or they have a hard time with vulnerability is because we got a hard time dealing with rejection, y'all. We do. I'm just going to start off right there.
Let's get into it.
You know, we put ourselves out there. We express what it is that we think, what we feel, what we want, and what we need. And a lot of times what we as men but what we hear is no. And it's difficult for us to deal with that because there's an expectation, sometimes spoken, sometimes unspoken, that, yo, I'm giving you my heart. I'm asking you a question. I'm expressing what it is that I want and what I need. And you lift up an objection, a barrier, some resistance. And what it feels like is rejection. And so that's what makes it difficult sometimes for us to express what we need, express what we want, and not try to carry all the things and do all the things, because when we attempt to say, I would like for you to do this with me, or maybe even I would like for you to do this for me, then there's an issue.
Are you relating that general kind of description to this particular situation?
It can be related.
It can? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So let me make sure I'm capturing what you're saying effectively. I didn't know we were going to be talking about this.
Neither did
I. We're talking about vulnerability today. So you're saying that essentially what you're saying is we don't want to be vulnerable. Men don't want to be vulnerable. In this case, you don't always want to be vulnerable because you may not get your way.
No. I'm not saying I may not always be
like
vulnerable.
If it doesn't go your way, you interpret it as a rejection if it doesn't go the way you want it to go. And then that gives you, and I'm elaborating because you didn't say this, permission in your mind, or a cue to default into not being vulnerable because it's going to make me uncomfortable. It's going to not work out the way that I want it to, or go the way that I want it to go. And so I just won't be vulnerable. So I just won't be in a real relationship. I'll just stay outside the relationship.
It's not that I won't be in a real relationship, but I mean, everybody gets tired of being rejected. Everybody gets tired of hearing no.
No. We're not talking about repetitive, tired of. We're just talking about a general framework for why are people, or why are men not vulnerable. We talk about our situation right now, y'all. So we can transfer this to some other things that are probably more relevant to other people. We're talking about this within the context of.
But even if we generalize it, though, I mean, as a woman, you can't speak on repetitive rejection of men because you're not a man. And so there's a number of times and a number of ways in which we extend ourselves and we attempt to make bids for connection. We are possibly about to open up, or maybe we even do open up, and we experience rejection. You may not even perceive it as being an opening up. You may not even perceive it as vulnerability, but for you to say, like, that repetitive rejection.
I said we're not talking about that for this particular thing.
I know, but the idea, or even that suggestion that it's repetitive rejection, that's what we experience. But it's almost as if like there's a negative taint or slight on even the idea that we as men experience repetitive rejection.
No, I'm just trying to, for the purposes of breaking up the conversation, talk about our situation that we started out with, and then shift into the greater conversation about men and vulnerability. Because I do think that, some of the things that me and you thought about when we thought about this topic, will be more relevant to those who are listening. And some of y'all, this may be relevant to, but we're talking about, like, you were like, you doing all right? We started out and I'm was a little tight because of this particular. And so I think it's important to distinguish, like, we can talk in generalities and things seem like something that they're not. But in the particulars of our situation, we're talking about this podcast and me being pushed and pressed to get certain things done for the business and for the kids and for, all the things, right? And you have a little more space. So me asking you, well, can you go ahead and do this? And this is not an isolated thing, because in our business, when there are things
I really don't have more space.
that, so you do not have more space.
I don't have more space.
Why not?
Because I have something as soon as we finish this, and I have something that's an hour after I finish that. So
what does that mean? Something and something.
What I'm saying is that, like, I have things that I have to do as well too. So just as you have something that you would like to do or that you have to do, I have things that I have to do as well. And so I'm taking not only what you got going on into consideration, but I'm also taking what I got going on into consideration as well. So
Okay.
So we're both juggling.
This is the first time I'm hearing that.
Well, I'm thinking about your schedule. You might not be thinking about mine.
No. You didn't have an ask. I had an ask. So you're not thinking about my schedule. I'm not sure how you think about my schedule when I'm sharing with you what I have going on, and can you step forward? And I think the greater thing, or thing that kind of becomes problematic for me, is that when I'm asking that of you, this is not a one-time situation. When it comes to this particular kind of thing, when it's something that we're to do or that needs to be done with regards to anything where we getting on a platform, and we're talking. Right. You're not flexible. 90% of the time you say no. Right. So because of that being so when you talk about, I find it very interesting that you're talking about repetitive, rejection, all of that. And I'm like, you don't want to be saying all the time. You ask me, can I mean, really think about that when it comes to this particular thing, but you somehow in your mind, conjured up that you're being repeatedly rejected, or we don't. And I don't think that I don't know if you're necessarily connecting it to this particular situation, like specifically, but you brought that forward, right? But we're starting with this particular situation. So this particular situation of you saying how you feeling, because you realize I'm feeling some type of way. I've asked you something and you're like, nah, right? That's the repetitive pattern. Repetitive pattern is your no. It's not me saying no to you. The repetitive pattern in our particular situation is me requesting something of you, me asking you, and then reflecting to you, when it comes to this particular thing, babe. Like, and I just said it a second ago, sometimes, like, there's some extenuating circumstances, whatever. You just said something about you had stuff to do too. You didn't lift that up before. But that's the pattern. I mean, I think that's essentially what I'm trying to say, is that so that's what gets to me a little bit. I mean, I've gotten used to it over the years and over time, but the pattern is not that you're getting a no all the time, or that you're getting rejected, or I don't know how you're connecting that dot. The pattern is that you're saying, no, I'm not willing to do this. No. So I don't perceive it as a rejection. I do hear you bringing that piece forward. I don't receive it as a rejection. I just receive it as
a boundary.
I don't perceive it as a boundary at all.
That's what it is.
Oh, you're sizing it now.
I'm not. That's a boundary.
Wait a minute. So we're talking about. So are we talking about the same thing, boo?
Yeah. So when I speak about the whole piece around rejection, what I'm talking about more specifically is that a boundary is being established where I'm saying no, and the lack of receptivity to my no, it feels like there's a push and there's a guilt trip that's attempted to be made because I'm saying no, and so that feels like a rejection to me. There's not an acceptance of the fact that, like, we made an agreement. Now there's a shift that you're attempting to make based off of the agreement. And I'm saying no because I want to honor what it is that we agreed to. And when I say no, then I'm made out to be the person who's like,
You're not made out to be anything.
or I'm a picture is painted on your part that
I don't paint a picture. How am I painting a picture? To who?
it's a narrative that's being created where I'm the one that's like, I'm inflexible.
But you're not.
No,
I mean, you are. I'm saying, you are inflexible.
No, I'm not inflexible.
Babe, so I don't even think this is about vulnerability anymore. Maybe it is. Maybe a little bit is, but it's got a lot more going on to it. This is about today, and then the greater issue for me, from my perspective, is that if you look over time, there are hundreds of things that we've gone on now where we get online and we're doing something. We will say, this is the thing that needs to be done. This is the this is the topic, whatever. And
are we agreeing to do it together?
So oftentimes, and what I have said to you, which you also push back on, is we need to not just assume that everything has to be done by the both of us, that there are things that can be done by just one of us. You are not very warm to that because you want it all the time to be the both of us. And so we have most of the time. Would that be fair? The majority of the time.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the majority, and to be fair, you ain't going to suggest a time where it's going to be just you, or you might suggest just me, but not just you. And so what I'm saying to you is,
I mean, that's suggesting I'm not doing stuff specifically for men. That's not fair.
I'm talking about with regard to the things that we do inside of our business. Not that's king me. That's a separate thing. I'll never be over there, and you'll never be over the women's thing.
You're categorizing.
I'm talking about before king me just got born. Art of Overcoming just came back. I'm talking about our business over the years. I mean, this is amazing to me that you're almost representing like you don't know what I'm talking about.
Because you're speaking in absolutes.
So I'm not trying to speak in absolutes. I said majority of the time.
Okay.
I said majority of the time. What I'm saying, and this is the core issue, which I don't think I've been able to get out yet. You ask me to step forward and stand in the gap. You say, can you do this? You just did it last week or the week before, whenever it was. Can you do this and I not do it? Yeah. And I'd be like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I do that, with a little smile, like, because I'm willing to do that. If I can do it, I'll do it. Right? That happens. I don't want to say super regularly, but on a regular enough basis, we can ask me, I'm like, okay. You, on the other hand, if I'm doing that for you, you generally say no. What I'm saying to you is that over time, that's an imbalance. There's an imbalance in your flexibility. I understand that for whatever the reasons are, it may be easier for me, whatever that means, right? And it may be less easy for you for any number of reasons. It may be not a biggie for me. It may be a big deal for you. We talk about that all the time. Like, there are differences. But what I'm saying to you is the same way I'm sitting here, right? And I am extending myself, not extending myself like this is something I'm doing for you, because this is my business too. But I am also just like, okay, I'm just going to push through and do this. And then I'm gonna do the next thing, do the next thing, do the next thing. When you feel a push to squeeze, we both feel pushes and squeezes all the time. And you ask, and I don't ask you a lot. You know what I'm saying? But and you ask for like, hey, can you get here in the gap? The percentage of times you say yes is probably like 0.2. It's like 5, not even 5%. My percentage of time is probably about 80, I would say 80%. That's a huge gap. So my experience of you and my experience in this situation today is yet again, Aize has the capacity, but he's not willing. And you're trying to position it as a boundary. And what I'm saying to you is, I don't see it to be a boundary. You're saying, oh, we come together and we agree that this is what we're doing. So I'm setting about. I understand. I mean, there's certainly times where you've asked me. That's why I said 80%. And I'm saying, nah, babe, like, no, you're going to have to do that. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm not saying that's never been the case, but I'm saying let's not misrepresent as though you're actually taking into consideration your gut reaction is going to be off the top. No. No. In fact, we've had so many conversations about this and various things that we do. And we're actually talking about and discussing whether or not the value is you both need to be there. One of us need to be there. But like, because you fundamentally don't think that it should be just you or just me. But to be fair, if it's going to be just somebody, let it just be Yana. And all I'm saying to you is there's no shade on my part in any way, shape, or form about, oh, I don't want to do it. Like, there's certain things I don't want to do. You know, there's certain things I'm like, can you do that? I don't want to. I don't like it. That makes me nervous. Whatever. I say that stuff. But you will just continue to say, so talk about this vulnerability piece. You don't say nothing about yourself in any discomfort. You just say, no, because we should just be us, right? It's just this blanket kind of a statement that you throw out there. And at no point in time does it feel like you look at like, dang, I be asking Iana to do certain things to stand in the gap or whatever when it comes to this particular area. And she don't do it. And I know, and you know that because I make sure. And when I do it, I'm like, babe, you see, I just did that. You can do that sometimes too, you know? And then I'll laugh, make a joke. And you don't change. You continue to be rigid and inflexible. And so it would be one thing if it was like, well, you don't really do it much at all, Joe. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a thing where, okay, I do it more, you know, you do it less, but you really don't. Your go-to is a no. So I just don't understand how we're talking about, you know, and if you talk about vulnerability in terms of the why behind that, and not really wanting to share the why and not ever having been really real with me around the why, you know what I'm saying? And certainly the energy that I have right now, which has a little edge to it, is not the way that we roll in terms of all of our conversations in general in our relationship or even around this. So, you know, but there's just you going, no. So you're not sharing anything else. And I have to be honest, even if you told me, oh, it makes me feel like this, or I don't be one to because of that, and there was something vulnerable, that would absolutely, number one, give me more perspective and appreciation. You always tell me like, no, it ain't nothing like that, right? And I would still want you to still do something, because I don't think that because either of us in our relationship or in our business partnership, or anybody when they go to work, because you don't want to do something, or because you're uncomfortable, you just get to say, I ain't doing that at all. But you can, but I won't. I'm just trying to figure out where that happens. And everybody's okay with it. Your coworker at some point is like, all right, you know, they might keep stepping forward, but just be like, that's, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, let me say this. I am not saying that there are not places where you are all the way leading in certain areas, doing certain things, making sure that certain things are taken care of, that doesn't happen. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when there's a clear ask and there's a clear no over and over and over and over again, what is the boundary about? Because you don't seem to think that there's a boundary for me when you're asking for me. You're asking and I get to say yes or no, right? Like, yes, I can do that. No, I can't do that. You're almost saying it like, don't ask me that, period, because we said this and it's never going to change. That's not a boundary. That's rigidity. You know what I'm saying? So, and there's no consideration. It's just like, So, I mean, I don't even know what the hell we talking about now, but I'm just saying, like, you throwing me with that. You throwing me completely and entirely, because it's a complete imbalance and a complete lack of extending yourself outside of whatever is going on that gives you these repetitive, just no. And I don't ask you a lot.
So I'm glad you said what you just said, because I think that is where the perceived imbalance is coming from.
Okay.
I think that it's equal in reference to yeses.
What's equal?
Equal in reference to yeses.
Who said? Did you say yes?
Verbalized yeses.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm clear. Are you saying that when I ask you to, like, can you go ahead and handle that one, that you say yes as much as I say yes? Is that what you're saying? I'm just making sure I'm following.
Yeah, I'm trying to complete my thought. So I'm saying that when it comes to the verbalized yeses, that it's equal. Yes, me saying yes to you.
Why are you saying verbalize? Versus
Because
what?
I want you to understand, you know, what's going on internally and why the perception is the way it is on my part. You spoke about why it is the way it is on your part.
Okay.
And so from my perspective, you do ask a lot. And I do occasionally say yes verbally. I'm saying yes way more times without verbalizing it. Simply am I agreeing to do what it is that I'm being requested to do subtly or not so subtly.
I'm lost.
There's a number of things and because you know me,
Mm-hmm.
you know that I'm thinking about you
Mm-hmm.
often, and so I'm moving to accommodate, to tend to you, to make sure you're squared away, and so I'm stepping in a way in which I'm saying yes, where I'm sacrificing myself over and over and over again, but I'm not saying yes verbally or loud. And so you don't even know that I'm moving in a particular way where I'm sacrificing self. And so for me, it's like outside of me expressing yes to a specific request, I'm still giving and I'm still saying yes and I'm still leaning in because I love you and I want to make sure you're squared away and I want to make sure you're straight. So even before you have the question, I'm a lot of times standing in the gap to make sure you're covered. And so for me, the express yeses, they may be equal, but there's a number of times in which I'm standing in the gap and
The
I'm stepping
express
forward
yeses.
and I'm thinking about you to try to make sure certain things are covered, even without you even asking a question. Now, when it comes to the no's, you say that I'm saying no repetitively or over and over and over again. Me saying no is for me, is me drawing a boundary based off of the fact or the way that I typically would roll, which is leaning in, accommodating, yielding, taking care of you more so than I'm taking care of myself. And so at times what I'm doing when you hear the no's is based off of me attempting to combat the inclination to automatically say yes. And so and then on that piece in reference to the imbalance, what I would say is that
So did you say that though there is not an imbalance that you say yes, there's the yeses are the same? Or what do you, just to make sure I'm following
yeah,
your
what
point.
I'm saying is that the yeses are the same.
So you
I
don't see an
do
imbalance.
no, I don't. I do feel though that it I understand the way it feels, the way that it feels to you, because you're hearing no more. And so if you're asking me more and you're hearing no more, then it feels like the no's they outweigh the yeses. And so I get that piece. And so if you ask me specifically 10 times and I say yes 2 times and I say no 8, then it's easy to focus on the 8 times that I say no. But let's just say because of the fact that number one, you know I'm not coming to you as much as you come to me. I'm not asking you the questions as much.
I'm not asking you them. I
But
don't know why
listen,
you think that
listen,
I'm asking you so much. I don't
listen,
even you say you don't say yes. I'm not saying your yeses is like
listen.
once a year. You don't say yes when it comes to this.
So I'm not coming to you. I'm not coming
I'm
to you,
not
and it's
coming to
not
you.
just around this right here.
I mean, I am coming to you, but I'm not. It's
I'm
not.
not. So I'm just by the nature of who we are. You're gonna come to me and ask me and lean on
Yes.
me more than I'm gonna lean on you. And so I'm less inclined to do that. But when I do it, if you're saying no or if you're saying yes, because it's so few and far between, because it's more infrequent, then the impact is greater. At least that's the way it feels to me. And so what that does is it leads me to a place where I make a decision to go to a place where I'm hesitant to ask certain questions, make certain comments, because again, the times in which I do, it may become a thing. And when you say yes, I'm definitely appreciative. And the hope is that the number of times in which you say yes, it'll continue to build up and stack in a way in which the discomfort that I may ordinarily feel won't be there. But that's something that not just I deal with, but a number of men deal with. Like, the hesitancy around, first of all, we're socialized into trying to do it and to try to do it ourselves. And so a lot of times I'm not thinking about you, I'm just thinking about self, which can lead to a certain level of being self-absorbed and self-focused and not considering the whole, which is problematic. But it poses a challenge because When I'm thinking that way and operating that way, I'm not being inclusive and I'm being challenged when it comes to vulnerability. And so I'm not necessarily giving you the why behind the hesitancy to ask certain questions. I'm not even giving you the why sometimes behind the reason why I'm even asking the question. I'm holding it close to the chest just simply because all of that extra stuff and that information, what you need to know that for? Like what I'm exposing myself, and I'm trying to minimize the amount that I expose myself because I don't want to deal with the rejection. And so, while you say it may be 8 times out of 10 that you experience a rejection, those times that I do think that we as men we feel it more.
Why? You're saying, I'm just to make sure I'm capturing. You're saying in this situation, so if I'm getting a nose 8 out of 10, and you get a 2 out of 10, that you feel it more than my 8. And I'm asking why. And is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because the 2 out of 10 may be 2 out of 10 for this specific situation, but as a whole, when we look at the totality of the relationship, I think that we as men are experiencing those a lot more, specifically when it comes to intimacy. So let me be clear.
So I just feel like this conversation is all over the place. And I feel like, honestly, that this is like, it just feels like it's one of those, like, if it feels so. I don't want to. I'm getting frustrated right now. Let me name my feelings.
Hey, what's up, y'all? So we know you're enjoying the episode, but check this out, y'all. We're not just any old random couple that's coming on YouTube every week just giving relationship suggestions and stuff like that. We're way more than that, y'all. We're trained therapists and relationship coaches. Yeah. This right here is my beautiful, incredible, sensational wife, Iana.
And this right here is my dapper, debonair husband, Ayize. So y'all, we just want you to know that there is more. We don't want you to just be a spectator. We want you to get in here with us and join our community. We have all kind of folks who are doing their personal work, their relationship work. We have sister circles and men's lounges and trainings, and we address all kinds of things from infidelity to disconnection to communication issues and sex and intimacy issues. Look, the solution is at blandcore.com. Join us. You talked about sex and non-verbalized yeses, not expressed yeses, ways that you operate internally to, consider me, and I know you as a person and you're thinking about me, right? Like I just had to be honest. Like, I don't think that stuff isn't true, but we all have our stuff, I say. And in this particular situation that we started out talking about was not about, we're supposed to be talking about the vulnerability of men in general and all that, but it feels like fancy footwork. You know what I'm saying? It feels like, because you have this general kind of way of being, and you know all of that, you're bringing in all of this stuff. But the fundamental stuff we're talking about with this is our work together, getting on platforms, having a series of things we have to do every month. This is how people get this thrown, like we're all over in the conversation. I don't even know where to begin because I don't want to disrespect or dismiss anything that you're saying, but you're pulling in so many things that I do think have legitimacy. But this is just about, unless I'm mistaken, and I don't think that there aren't connections at all. I'm not saying that there's no connection at all, but this is about these series of things that we have to get done every month, and things come up, and whether it's us dealing with the kids, or so-and-so's got a game, or I'm so tired, or whatever it is, me asking for you to stand in the gap in that particular way, and you saying no 90% of the time. That's what we're talking about. And you're bringing in all of this other vulnerability stuff and that kind of thing around. That's what we're talking about. That's a choice that you're making. When you ask me, I would say the majority of the time I say yes. That's what we're talking about. And then you say, oh, but expressed yeses versus non-expressed yeses, I actually think it's equal and I do more. Get the fuck out of here, Joe. Like, so now I'm supposed to ascertain your quiet, internal, non-expressed yeses and not know that you've actually got, not that we should be counting 30 yeses that you've done all week long that I'm completely unaware of. And because of that, when I ask you, what I'm saying, 3 things or whatever, I'm just making this up, that it ain't just 3 no's, that you give me all these yeses and you give me like I'm supposed to know all of that. And I think that this information is helpful in general. It's actually not new. I mean, I do know you well enough and you know me well enough that we've had these kind of conversations before. I do know that, like sometimes you're not verbalizing or like expressing certain things, or you may maybe need something or want something, but don't ask for it, you know what I'm saying? Or just go handle it. And I think that internally, you and people who operate like you, then internally are having this maybe dialogue or this feeling of, well, I'm just going to handle this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then, I feel justified or okay. Like, I'm just giving you no's all the time. Now you can give me no's. I mean, you really can. It's your prerogative. But that's not, I mean, that isn't something I don't think that's something to like, be like, so I feel good about it. I don't think you should feel good about that. I mean, it makes sense, but this goes back to what we say all the time, ask for what you need. If you're using in your mind, well, I'm actually considering you a lot and I'm having these thoughts and I'm moving a certain way, but I don't express it, I don't say it, and you might not even know it, and it might not even matter to you, real talk, but I'm still rolling that way. And because of that, then I don't feel like I have to shift or move over here in this area that makes me uncomfortable because I'm justifying that I roll like this, in the relationship. So it's all good. Like that's not, I don't think that's, I understand your reasoning, but I don't think that's operating in your best self, your highest self. And I think it's honestly because of who you are and who I know you to be, I feel like it's a cop out for just saying, I don't like to do the stuff by myself. And I feel like you don't want to say that. And because of that, whatever, is either you have a hard time or you don't have a hard time, because it's not like you don't do stuff by yourself, like you say all the time. But whatever it is, I need us to be together. Like there's other layers behind. It needs to be to both of us because it comes across a certain way. Like whatever it is, like you're not being honest with yourself or me fully, or not having thought about it deeply enough about what's going on, because I just think there's more to it. But that's a sidebar. I mean, I think at the end of the day, for us to be sitting here, I can't believe we having this conversation on this podcast, but for you to be saying, I do, I mean, I was today years old and found out that you think that you say yes to me when it comes to this area as much as I say to you, but you counting the non-express yeses in terms of the way you be rolling in a relationship in general. Like, boo, like, come on. Like, that's not even, we've had conversation about this so many times. And never have you said that. It's been pretty much a known thing that you don't.
That I don't what?
You don't say yes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's been pretty known. So if that's been pretty established and known, like today, all of a sudden, like, no, actually I say just as much, but I'm counting the non-verbalized yeses. I think ultimately at the end of the day, I keep saying at the end of the day, there's an impact to me. And I don't like the feeling that because you have perhaps, and I've said this to you before in other ways, I don't know why it's making me emotional, unexpressed needs, desires, concerns, or what have you, because you have not expressed those things. And I'm just, I'm surmising because I don't know, but that's what you're talking about, these internal yeses and all this kind of stuff. That then if I'm asking you a question or I'm saying, can I get some help? Like I feel like I get penalized because I do ask for what I need. because I am transparent and I do share. And so you're keeping things inside and then rationalizing a certain way. And then when I'm sharing with you, like, bro, that's like, I feel some type of way that, when it comes to this particular part of our business and how we roll, that I'm the one that kind of will stand up and step forward and you just don't. I feel sometimes, and then like my feelings, I feel like are minimized and like, no, that's not actually true because even though if you look at it on the surface, yes, that's the case, but because, I do be thinking about you. And like, that's fancy footwork. To me, it feels like gaslighting. It feels like somebody who's saying, yes, there's another reality that's going on. You're not aware of it. But it is. And let me tell you what's going on. It's going on inside of me. I haven't necessarily shared it with you all the time or any of the time, but this is what's happening. And therefore, what you're saying you feel and what you're saying is happening, that in a given calendar month or in a given quarter, if you ask me 10 times, I'm going to say yes, 0. And if I ask you 10 times, you're going to say yes, 7 times. That's not true. Like, that's gaslighting. That's what it feels like to me. And so again, I don't feel like your feelings aren't real. I just feel like this is just like way too convoluted. Like you're sizing it. Like, and I'm not saying you're sizing your feelings. I'm saying I don't even understand and this is maybe where you need to lean in some more and tell me, where does the vulnerability piece for you come in with regards to this situation? Where is the where are you saying that the vulnerability, that there's a vulnerability piece in this situation, that you don't be trying to be vulnerable or something that has to do with this situation?
Yeah. And so if we take it back to the request that I do it by myself, and then my response, is one where I'm like, nah, let's do it together. The rejection of my response, the pushback, the criticism, and then it almost feels as though there's an indictment, well, not even an indictment, but just a negative energy, or you feel some sort of way.
It's a stack up of no's
about me saying no.
Yeah, over and over and over again.
And for me, that's unfair, and it doesn't feel good because it's like I can't. I mean, I feel as though I'm being penalized for drawing a boundary and saying like, no, we agreed to do something.
Right.
I know life changes, and
yeah, so, like what about that part? Because you don't say that when you're asking me. You're okay with me stepping forward.
But I also understand, and so we're in full
control.
No,
you get in your feelings. But I say yes most of the time.
We have the ability to be able to be like, we can adjust some other things, and we can do this. And then I express to you why, in terms of me wanting you to be with me and doing it. That's still not good enough. And the way you frame it, it feels as though you're making it seem like I think that I'm incapable, or I don't know how to, like I'm weak or something like that.
I literally say to you, I know you have the capacity. So that's you assigning meaning.
But the way
you have the capacity, because this is where I take issue, because you're literally just unwilling. I know you got the capacity, but you're like, I don't want to. Because it's not, and I said if it was a capacity issue, then my heart would be like, dang, like my baby. But it's not a capacity issue. I don't want to do that.
I've already gone,
even though I asked you to do it
at certain periods of time, saying that it is a capacity issue because you're not receiving.
Say it again.
What it is that I'm saying.
Say that again, babe.
So I've gone to the point of saying that it is a capacity issue at certain times because I don't feel like you're hearing me in what I'm saying.
I don't understand what you're saying.
So you lifted up that you don't think that it's a capacity issue. But I'm telling you, prior to us even get to the capacity part, that I want you to be with me. And I want you to sit next to me because of the value that you're bringing to perspective and all of that type of stuff. And I just like the dynamic that we have when we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so you'll lift up that you'll keep on pushing, and you'll lift up that is, I think that you have the capacity, but it feels as though because you're consistently trying to persuade me to do what it is that you want me to do, and you're not honoring me saying like, no, I want us to do it together. Sometimes I feel as though I have to lean on the capacity piece and say that I don't have the capacity.
You never said
because
that.
I have said that before.
Well,
And I've
you
said that
want me to be
before.
clear, just like you started out. You said you be
No,
trying
I've
to
said
make
that
like it's
before.
like it's my capacity. You be
I
wanting me
know,
to
but
be clear, like I could do this.
I know, but
You don't
but,
represent like I can't do it. You
yeah,
never
but
have been like that.
At different points in time, I have represented that way.
Well, you done it internally because that's been one of your quiet conversations. Is it hasn't been with me.
That because you haven't received what I've been saying. So it's
I
almost
literally
as if
been
like,
wondering if you ever just gonna say like, is that what's going on? Because you've never said that to me.
see, that's what I feel.
You
I
feel?
feel that you believe that I feel like I'm incapable.
So what I'm saying to you is you have not said that to me.
And what I'm saying is that at different points,
But you're telling
me
you have said that.
Even though I don't feel that way, I have expressed that because it seems like that's the only answer that you're looking for.
So what's hard for me is that if I have the capacity to do something, to make something easier for you, I'm not going to automatically do it. But over time, if I'm partnered with you on a certain thing and we roll in these blam streets together, in these various streets together, doing our business, parenting, whatever it is, I'm not okay with a relationship where I just don't do that. Yeah, I just don't do that at all. That's not our relationship. This is probably the one area, and this is probably why it's difficult for me, where you just be like, nah. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably, and I'm not saying that I got it so bad, because you're a wonderful husband and you're a wonderful person and we partner in everything. And that's not to say that there aren't areas that you lead on, that I lead on or whatever. But what it is to say is, if you have the capacity, which is my belief, to be clear with you, I know that you have the capacity because I've been married to you forever. We built this business together. I know what you can do.
So why you keep saying that?
Because I'd be wondering, well, I keep saying what? Exactly.
Making it seem as if I don't have the capacity.
No. How am I making it seem? Is because I do not make it seem as though you don't. And I don't like when you keep inserting and acting like I'm saying something that I'm not.
But
never, I'm using an absolute word. I have never said to you, you don't have the capacity, babe.
But why do you keep inserting that?
Inserting what?
The whole capacity piece.
What I'm saying to you is, the piece that is like the crux of the issue for me. If you don't have the capacity, I'm gonna fall back 1,000,000%.
But if you're clear that I do have the capacity, this wouldn't even be a question.
If you do have the capacity, right, I have a problem. Because if I'm partnered with you, right, and this will be with anybody, but especially with you. If I'm partnered with you around anything, I don't expect you to be perfect, but if you have the capacity to stand in the gap for me, to help me out, to cover me in this particular way, I'm not talking about your whole husbandry or business, whatever, this particular way. And you just are like, nah. I don't roll like that. And I don't experience you like that most of the time.
I know. So why don't
So in this particular area, it's been difficult for me because in no way do I operate like that with you.
So you're having a hard time hearing no in this particular area.
I'm having a hard time with your rigidity. Yes, it's the no, but it is the rigidity and the lack of consideration. That's how it makes me feel, that there's a lack of consideration for me and that you are absorbed in what you want it to be. And it doesn't matter what the impact is going to be to me. No matter how much I tell you, no matter what I say to you, no matter about the particulars of a situation, I could be late to something. It could be anything. It doesn't matter. That's a problem for me. And because that's been like our conversation over the years and you have not moved, right? You just be like, no. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? But again, if I rolled like you, then I could see how you were like, well, shoot, you do the same thing. But you get the benefit of experiencing something different with me and then have the audacity to keep rolling like that and not seeing it like, damn, like, are you there like, just go ahead and help her out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't understand that. So you're absolutely right, sweetie. You do have the prerogative to just be like, no, that's a 0 for me. But nowhere have we ever had a conversation around this where there's some deep layered explanation and say, well, this is what's happening. Da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, no, I want us to just do it together. It's better that way. And that's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? It's better for us to both be together. So even when you're saying like we made an agreement, I mean, you know how we move. We are putting stuff together. We have a general idea of how we're doing things. It's loose, and then we get it tighter as we move along, and we start to finalize stuff, and we flow in and out. But I don't get to flow in and out. You know what I'm saying? You are the one, and it could be in any number of things in the smallest of ways. Like no, you know, you like nah, and I just feel like you just determined consciously, unconsciously, like yeah, I'm not stretching in that way. I'm just not going to do it. And to me, again, if you were to tell me something, because that's what I'd be wondering, like, well, is it something that I'm not aware of or whatever in terms of how you feel? Not what's really true, but because I don't understand that. I don't understand why you would, just because, like, the reasoning doesn't make sense to me. And I know it doesn't have to make sense to me entirely. And that's essentially how we've been operating in our marriage for some time now. It's just an understanding that you don't have no flexibility when it comes to, hey, can you cover that? Nope. And if you ask me, yes, I will. And if I ask you, no, I will not. Most people would be like, damn. Most people would be like that. I don't feel like I'm so out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? But then you're like this extra stuff today of this internal quiet yeses and all of that. Like, again, because you are the best husband in the entire world, because you are my best friend, I deal with it because we all got to deal with stuff. So let that be a takeaway today. I just, I will not die, but I be hot. And then I cool off and I be over it. You know what I'm saying? Because you are amazing. But I do think it's a complete imbalance in the working relationship in that way. And I think that probably, first of all, I know there are other imbalances at various times in our working relationship where you're doing more or where you're doing this part, whatever. And probably, first of all, that's just a normal part of the flow. Everything ain't equal. Marriage ain't 50-50. There's business and the work we do ain't 50-50. But there are probably times where you're feeling like, the quiet, like I'm just going to go ahead and handle this, but I wish she should do it, whatever. And I feel like on some level, there's this is what you're using to justify, I guess, the no or whatever. When it's just, on this other area, when you could just ask for what you need, you could just do that. Because based on the precedent that's been set, despite my spunky ass energy, you get yeses. You don't get no's. So you're saying, we're gonna change the title of this. But you're saying the rejections over and over and over again. I'm like, do you realize what you're talking about? I mean, that's why I said it started to feel like gaslighting. We talking about a particular situation where I'm the one getting the no's, not you. You don't get the majority of the no's. I do. It's just, I don't get it. I get it. I do get it. Let me take that back.
I appreciate you sharing your thoughts and your feelings. I do think that this is an ongoing conversation. One of the takeaways that I'm walking away with is despite the discomfort and the difficulty that there may be around vulnerability, that I gotta ask for what I need. And that's a challenge. But it's not just a you challenge. It's not even a you challenge. It's a me challenge that filters into different domains in my life. So it's some of my hesitancy is based off of you, but a lot of it is not based off of you, and so I gotta grapple with that and look within self and expand my ability to be able to deal with the discomfort of possibly hearing a no, or possibly dealing with a rejection, and and ask for what it is that I need. So, and it's not that
You're saying that because you feel like you do feel like that's why it makes you say no all the time with this particular thing, because you're stacking up internal quiet yeses, like you said. And so if you were to ask for more of what you need in your day to day, then you wouldn't do that or something. Is that, are you? I'm trying to make some connections, but I don't know if that's what you're saying.
yeah, I feel like I don't feel like the frequency is as often as you say it is.
You said the infrequency
The frequency,
of
the amount of times that I say no, I don't think that it's that frequent.
when it comes to this particular thing.
Yeah, I don't. I just don't feel that way. And so it's not that it does not exist, but I don't feel like it's that often. But I do know that my no's have an impact, and
Would you say that you majority of the time you say no, and the majority of the time I say yes? When we're asking each other to step forward in that way.
I mean, again, it gets back. I don't really be asking you to do that, so that's the reason why I'm having a hard time with that.
It's not about it's not about the volume. It's about the majority of whatever times that I ask you or that you ask me. You say no, and I say yes. Would that be accurate or no? Well, I don't understand why that's so hard. I kind of felt like that was a given, and that's what's I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a given.
That the majority of the time you say no, and the majority of the time I say yes. That's not agreed upon.
Yeah, I got to do some more reflecting on it.
So what we even talking about? We've been talking about this all this time.
I mean, we have, but again, the hesitancy on my part is really just based off of the volume of time, the volume and the number of times in which I'm asking you questions versus asking me questions, and I think fundamentally,
Questions? You mean? Are you talking about this particular thing?
yeah, right. I'm talking about this specific thing, but I think fundamentally where I'm arriving is, you want me to be more considerate and say yes in this specific area more, and what I'm asking of you is that you receive my no in a way in which it doesn't, or I don't feel like you're trying to cast me in a certain light, where I'm bad for saying no, or I'm wrong for saying no.
I received that.
And so, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's been an interesting episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we might have to name it something different, but
yeah, I think we had to name it something different. Mm-hmm. But everybody, tell us your thoughts. I hope you got something out of it that hit you in your gut, or you saw yourself, or you saw your partner, and more than anything, that you saw the ability to talk things through, to work things through, and to be able to still not just coexist, but to move forward together, even in the places where there are disconnects. Because that's just what life is. That's just what love is. That's just what relationships and marriage are. Mm-hmm. So, close it out. You're just sitting there.
This has been another episode of The Relationship Cheat Code. Please like, please subscribe, and please share. I love you, baby.
I love you too, sweetie.
You good?
I'll be all right.
You'll be all right.
I'm not there yet, but I will be all right.
Okay.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. One last thing.
Yes.
I'll share it with you later.
Okay.
Check us out, y'all. Again, please like, please subscribe, and please share. And we'll connect in with you next time. Peace, y'all.